2 days ago, I uploaded the first episode in this series. It was called The Masked Shadow. And now we have finally come to the third episode, which is titled The Empire's Fang. I hope you guys enjoyed the wait because I sure as hell enjoyed making this. Let's begin. The rain poured down over the city, washing away the grime of the day. But for our heroes, it did little to wash away the stink of defeat. They had just been ambushed by the Cobra Unit, an elite special forces team that specialized in finding and eliminating high-value targets. Their leader was known only as the Viper. And though he had not laid a hand on our heroes himself, his mere presence radiated menace like a predator sizing up its prey. Shadowblade cursed under his breath. He could still feel the phantom pain of the energy whip burning into his shoulder, a reminder of his failure to protect his allies. At least they were safe now. He looked back at the alley where he had led the Cobra Unit, grateful for the darkness that hid the tremors in his hands. He had never felt such power in another person before. If there was one person who could match him, it was the Viper. But why? Why had they attacked? And who was their employer? These questions echoed in Shadowblade's mind, refusing to be ignored. Before he could dwell on the questions any longer, he heard the voice of Wraith in his earpiece. "We need to move. Now." Wraith's voice was tight with urgency. "I've traced the signal. It's coming from the docks. We have to hurry." As they sped through the city streets, adrenaline surging through his veins, Shadowblade pieced together the clues. The attack, the signal from the docks. Could it be possible? The thought sent a chill down his spine. When they arrived at the docks, the sight before them made their blood run cold. Several figures stood around a large transport ship, the symbol of the Crimson Hand emblazoned on its side. Among them was the Viper, his face illuminated by the eerie green glow of the cargo ship. And beside him, bound and gagged, was Cypher. The Viper turned, his eyes glinting in the dim light. "Ah, Shadowblade, you brought your friends. How thoughtful." His voice was a low hiss, like a snake ready to strike. Wraith stepped forward, her voice dangerously calm. "Let him go, Viper. This doesn't have to get ugly." A cruel smile spread across the Viper's face. "Oh, but it will, Wraith, because I'm afraid you're too late. Our employer has already paid us. In full." Shadowblade felt his heart sink. What did he mean? Had they already sold out the data? Was that why they had brought Cypher here? To make sure he didn't interfere? As if reading his mind, the Viper spoke again. "Oh, don't worry, Shadowblade. Your little friend here will be joining us soon enough. After all, he wouldn't want to let the Crimson Hand down, would he?" The Viper gestured to a group of soldiers who stepped forward, their weapons trained on the prisoners. Shadowblade knew he had to act fast. In a flash, he was on the move, his daggers flashing in the dim light as he took out the first of the soldiers. Wraith was right behind him, her guns blazing. But for every soldier they took down, 2 more seemed to appear. Shadowblade felt a surge of frustration. Where had the Crimson Hand gotten such a large force? He had thought them to be just a small-time gang. Suddenly, a voice boomed from above. "Enough of this. I have seen quite enough of your pathetic display." All eyes turned to the source of the voice, a tall, imposing figure standing at the top of the stairs leading to the ship. The man's face was hidden in the shadows of his hood, but his eyes glinted with power. As the newcomer descended the stairs, the soldiers parted before him, revealing the face that had haunted Shadowblade's nightmares. It was the Emperor, the very leader of the Crimson Hand. The Emperor's eyes fell on Shadowblade, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "So the famous Shadowblade, I have heard so much about you." His voice was like velvet, smooth and dangerous. Shadowblade's grip tightened on his daggers. "You are the one who ordered the hit on my team," he said, his voice a low growl. The Emperor raised his hands in mock surprise. "Why, Shadowblade? How could you accuse me of such a thing? I am merely a humble servant of the Crimson Hand." "Don't play coy with me." Shadowblade snarled. I know it was you who attacked the Chancellor. The Emperor leaned closer, his smile widening. Ah, you are mistaken, Shadowblade. It was not me who attacked the Chancellor, but someone far more powerful than I. As the Emperor spoke, a figure emerged from the shadows behind him. It was the Viper, his face pale and drawn. Shadowblade's eyes widened in disbelief. It couldn't be. The Viper stepped forward, his eyes glowing with an eerie light. So, Shadowblade, you see, our paths have crossed many times before. You just don't remember. Shadowblade shook his head, trying to piece together the clues. He had fought alongside the Viper in many battles, but he had never seen this look in his eyes. The Viper continued, his voice now cold and hard. I am the one who trained you, Shadowblade. I am your master. It all came crashing down on Shadowblade like a tidal wave. The power, the skill, the very essence of the Cobra unit's fighting style. It was all connected to him, to his past. The Viper unsheathed a long, slender blade, its edge glinting in the dim light. And now, Shadowblade, it is time for you to die. With a speed that belied his size, the Viper lunged, his blade aimed at Shadowblade's heart. Shadowblade barely managed to raise his dagger in time, deflecting the blow. The two blades clashed, sending sparks flying. The Emperor watched with amusement, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Finally, he had found someone who could match Shadowblade's skills. They fought fiercely, blade against blade, neither one gaining the upper hand. Shadowblade felt the strength of his master, the power that had been dormant within him for so long. But he also felt the pain of betrayal, the agony of facing someone he had once considered a brother. The battle raged on, the fate of the city hanging in the balance. Suddenly the Viper struck, his blade finding a gap in Shadowblade's defenses. Shadowblade cried out as the blade pierced his arm. But it wasn't just a wound that burned. It was a humiliation, a defeat that cut deep. In that moment, Shadowblade felt like he had failed not only himself, but everyone who had believed in him. As the Viper prepared for the final blow, a voice rang out, clear and strong. No, Viper, it's over. I won't let you kill him. Wraith stood before them, her gun aimed at the Viper. It's over, she said again, her voice shaking slightly. The Viper hesitated, his eyes flickering to Wraith and then back to Shadowblade. For a moment he seemed torn, as if battling with himself. But then his face hardened and he lunged. But Wraith was ready. She fired, the bullet finding its mark. The Viper staggered, clutching his chest. As he fell to his knees, his eyes lost their glow, replaced by a look of pain and betrayal. Shadowblade watched as his former master took his last breath. A part of him wanted to feel triumph, but all he could feel was sadness. The Emperor snarled, his eyes blazing with anger. You fool, he hissed at Wraith. You have just made a grave mistake. He raised his hand, and suddenly, guards armed with plasma rifles surrounded Shadowblade and the others. Shadowblade knew that this was only a temporary reprieve. The real battle was yet to come. The first round may have gone to the Empire, but the war was far from over. This is where we end this episode. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe and get notified when the next episode releases. See you in the next one.